Tonight in CVM News at 7, another arrest in $47.5 million phishing scam at NCB. ECJ cracks down on code of conduct ahead of general election. And St. Thomas Municipal Corporation faces increase in rent. In the business report, Kingston Freeport set for expansion. While in sports, light concerns still on eve of pink ball test at Sabino Park. Hello from Kingston, Jamaica. This is CVM News for Friday, July 11, 2025. I'm Curlin Brown. The St. Thomas Municipal Corporation deliberated on the potential repercussions the urban centre will have on its operations. More coming out of a meeting at the council earlier today from Kevin Black.
Increase our rent expense by $10 million a month does not make no sense at all.
The St. Thomas Municipal Corporation's monthly meeting erupted into heated debate about several matters, including an increase in rental costs at their current location at the St. Thomas Urban Centre. According to former Morant's-Bay Mayor Hubert Ryan Williams, this significant rise will prove to be a detrimental move for the parish.
Per month, $129 million plus per year. And there are 7% increase annually, but we will pay $10.3 million a month. You know, we pay like St. Thomas, when maybe the average income is about $20,000 a month.
Morant's Bay Division Councillor Rosemary Shaw mentioned that the urban centre is not beneficial to Morant's Bay and its environs. She believes that it was created to serve the interests of the wealthy.
Urban centre not going to benefit the people of Bamboo River, the people of Gully, Church Corner, License, Cottage Bay. As far as I see, this is a big man business for the big boys to make more money and squeeze the life out of the poor people.
Williams says sourcing the requisite amount to sustain the cost of the rent is currently unattainable. He explains that in a place like St. Thomas, where the average monthly income is $20,000, the required $10.3 million a month is not feasible.
Are we going to afford that? Can we say to our people, we got to increase all our services? You know what $10 million a month can do to improve the lives of the people of St. Thomas? That don't make no sense to me. And I don't think the people of St. If we were approached to do that, the people of St. Thomas are going to hang over it.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
There's been another arrest in connection with a $47.5 million phishing scam at the National Commercial Bank, NCB. The scam between April and June of 2022 saw millions stolen from 16 accounts. Authorities say the money was transferred to the accounts of several beneficiaries, most of which have already been withdrawn or moved to other banks. Agents from the Major Organized Crime and the Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA, in collaboration with the Clarendon Police and the Jamaica Defence Force, carried out a targeted operation on Thursday morning, leading to the arrest of a female suspect. Authorities say the female from Clarendon Park in Clarendon is believed to be part of a well-organized criminal syndicate behind the massive theft. Head of the Fujitsu Caribbean and Latin America, Mervyn Air, is calling for a more aggressive and coordinated national response to the growing threat of cyber attacks, warning Jamaica remains vulnerable without a structured and forward-looking cybersecurity strategy. Kevin Black picks up that story.
We can still see that the level of attack to Jamaica is significantly higher.
In the modern digital age, it is imperative that computer systems are protected from digital attacks and data breaches. As a result, concerns are being raised by Jamaicans about the existing gaps in local cybersecurity. According to the head of Fujitsu Caribbean and Latin America, Mervyn Eyre, companies who are digitizing their workflow must incorporate protective measures.
We're seeing a lot of organizations digitizing their data to support business automation, right? So changing the way work is done is at the core of that. So you're basically saying, let's automate processes, but with digital data. Jamaica is running behind, so the rate of preparedness is running behind the rate of technology adoption.
Eyre mentioned that Jamaican businesses and institutions are oftentimes more susceptible to attacks than they may realize, an issue which the leaders of the nation need to address. He emphasized while measures are being put in place by many entities, it is not being done at a fast enough rate.
Because the real thing I want to leave here as the head of Fujitsu is that cybersecurity is a leadership issue, right? It's a common problem, right? Just like KYC is a common problem. Cybersecurity is a common problem. So you then say, okay, well, we have to up the level now to being ecosystem-based in solving these challenges. And then you have connection between ecosystems.
Eyre highlighted the government's strides regarding education of the public on the threats of cyber attack, which he believes is a step in the right direction.
There's that new level of ecosystems for security, which comes down to, ultimately, from a national perspective, the Prime Minister, the PM, the Prime Minister's office, having a national cert in place, industry, organizations, and so on.
The conversations we need to have amongst ourselves is how do we, within the region, within Jamaica, solve the issues of capability at leadership level and at the technology level in order for us to create a secure society, right? And
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
As the country gears up for an upcoming general election, the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, the ECJ, is reminding the political parties and their supporters to uphold the political code of conduct. While the ECJ is making efforts, though, to maintain order, the office admits it has no legal authority to enforce penalties. Here's more from our reporter Akeem Orrit.
With political campaigning heating up across the island, concerns are mounting over the removal and defacement of political paraphernalia. Registrar of Political Parties at the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, LaFron Thompson, says the commission is actively monitoring the situation to prevent breaches of the political code of conduct.
There is definitely public engagement and public education on reminding what are the principles of the code, encouraging, as I said, restraint and mutual respect between participants and contenders, supporters at this time, because in this season there's an active process of campaigning, advocating for the party that you support or so.
Reports of posters being ripped down or vandalized have been pouring in. Thompson says the ECJ has received several complaints and is working to resolve them.
We have received a complaint so far. Since the start of the season, I can speak of 8 complaints that have come to the office, and they are being addressed at this point. We're at the stage of conducting preliminary investigations and assessments. But in the meantime, we also publish statements that deride the kinds of behaviors that are generally reported. So acts of intimidation, acts of destroying and defacing paraphernalia belonging to opponents, that is discouraged by the political ombudsman.
Currently, there are no direct legal consequences enforced by the ECJ for persons caught destroying campaign material. However, Thompson says it remains a civic issue and urges citizens to respect the democratic process.
We are unable to impose legal sanctions, but really we operate from a position of moral suasion, reminding what are some of the national values that we hold as a people for our democracy. It is that respect for all, and that all are enabled to participate in the process free from violence, free from intimidation, and respect of all human rights that we maintain.
While stakeholders have renewed calls for the reinstatement of the standalone political ombudsman, Thompson said the ECJ continues to engage political parties and the public, reminding everyone that democracy thrives on respect, not rivalry. The former office of the political ombudsman, which operated independently to monitor political conduct and mediate disputes among parties, was formally subsumed under the ECJ, a move the government has defended as part of broader institutional reforms. Akeem Orrit, CVM News.
We'll have more CVM News at 7 after this. We welcome you back with more politics as the People's National Party is setting its sight on breaking the reins of the Jamaica Labour Party-held seat of South Trelawney through its caretaker Paul Patmore. Carlo Ramdeen reports.
The only thing I want to tell you, this MP that you'll be voting in a few months, in a few days from now, gonna be the best representative that South Trelawney ever have.
PNP caretaker for South Trelawney, Paul Patmore, says he will beat Marissa Dalrymple-Filbert, MP for South Trelawney, in the upcoming general elections. He says he's confident that the PNP has overtaken Dalrymple-Filbert in the seat and that the margin is widening day by day.
I think South Trelawney is the only constituency where they lost all 4 divisions. And today, I can tell you that the PNP is leading in South Trelawney in all polls.
Dalrymple-Filbert, one of JLP's most seasoned politicians and former Speaker of the House, has had much success in South Trelawney since first winning the seat in 2007 by a margin of 1,590 votes. She held the seat in 2011 with a slightly reduced margin of 1,525, expanded it to 2,065 in 2016, and achieved her most commanding victory in 2020 with a lead of 4,084 votes. Despite her growing margins over the years, Patmore insists that the constituency is not secure as it appears.
The PNP, under the leadership of Mark Golding, we will reopen the Greentown water supply in short order. From 1976 until now, they have been promising the people of Albert Town and surrounding area the water supply down by the Quashie River. Every election they come with the same promise. I want to tell you, we see them break ground down there already. That means the money did grant already. I want you to send me to Parliament to ask about that money that was granted to set up that water supply.
He says he will continue the job he has started by fixing the roads and improve the agriculture sector in South Trelawney by opening the first Yam Farmers Association.
There was a road from Joe Hut to Freeman's Hall, blocked for some 30 years. And on Labour Day, Paul Patmore and the citizens of South Trelawney opened that road after 30 years. Yam is the only product that a man has sell. And the man will come to buy, I tell you how much he might buy for. In Jamaica now, in South Trelawney, a man come and tell you say he want £100 of yam. But he look on you and tell you say you give him £160. People, the farmers in South Trelawney are suffering. You need representation. And that's why we're presenting to you the People's National Party. We know what the people want.
Patmore was once a member of the JLP and worked with Dalrymple-Filbert in October 2023. She vacated the seat after being accused of making false statements on her statutory declarations. In February 2024, she pleaded guilty and was fined $900,000, despite the controversy Dalrymple-Filbert returned by winning a by-election in November 2024. Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
Transport Minister Darrell Vaz has responded to new information on social media pertaining to the procurement and inspection of buses for the Rural School Bus Initiative, with words such as misinformation and bad mind on steroids. The minister also says he's fully prepared to ventilate any aspect of the process, while pushing back at suggestions the buses are not a good spend of taxpayers' dollars.
Tackling the issues bit by bit, the firebrand politician and transport minister says recent documents allegedly leaked by the opposition to attempt to spur doubt around the procurement of several rural school buses can be summed up as misinformation. He issued his own receipts and invoices vetted and approved by the trade board. His first salvo, the inspection requirement of the buses.
The buses all were inspected as per the requirements of the Department of Transport in the United States of America, which each state has a requirement to either inspect annually or biannually, which is twice a year. All of these buses were inspected for 2025. So the argument about decommissioned buses is absolute rubbish. These buses are used in secondary markets in the United States and also exported to places such as Canada, Panama, Guadeloupe, and several other countries.
He contends the latest move is a blatant act of envy on the part of the opposition, and although the buses are not new, he says they faced 3 inspections, first in the US, then by the JUTC team, and a third which is currently being conducted in Jamaica by the traffic authorities.
Again, it is just downright the most evil, wicked, bad mind on steroids, that even although the PNP has felt the backlash by well-thinking Jamaicans, and they are afraid to come out on their own platform or through their own releases, they are now using their bloggers, some of which have absolutely not 1 ounce of credibility.
The minister had also told CVM News the letter suggesting the buses were new, dating back a few months ago, could have been an administrative error. He's adamant there's nothing about the initiative he can't respond to, adding he's experienced in this area. Then the response to the cost of the units, as per the leaked invoice, insisting he won't drop a catch.
I see where they're using a partial invoice for 26 buses out of 110 and calculating the cost of a bus at $12.7 million. That is dunce, daft, and just straight wicked, evil, bad mind. The cost of the bus is one aspect. After that, you have the freight, inland freight, to get it to the ports, and in this case, the port of Miami. And you also have sea freight for those buses, which is a significant cost.
The minister is resolute this initiative will come to fruition, as he alleges on 2 occasions in the past, similar programs were stalled and abandoned because of the PNP. Nika Lewis, CVM News.
We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We go right away to regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. Barbados is one of 4 regional countries announced during the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting that will be opening its doors to full and free movement of CARICOM nationals from October 1. Ambassador to CARICOM, His Excellency David Commission, joined CBC News Barbados to provide clarity on what it means for Barbadians.
We are finally going to have the full freedom of movement regime. This is something that we have been trying to achieve for decades now. We have finally done it. However, not all CARICOM states are as ready as others. So the 4 member states that said, look, we are ready to start now are Barbados, Belize, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Dominica. So come 1st of October, these 4 will start. What that means is that the regime will be only for those 4 countries. So the citizens of those 4 countries will have the right to travel to live and to work in these countries without the need for any work permit or any residency permit. When they enter and they start to live and work, they will have certain rights. They will have the right to be treated like the citizen of the country in terms of primary education, secondary education, emergency health care, and primary health care.
In a bold move to confront the climate crisis, the Caribbean Youth Environment Network has joined 9 other nations in Hawaii for a high-level renewable energy summit. The Blue Planet Alliance Fellowship changemakers together to draft national roadmaps towards 100% renewable energy. Here's more from DBS Television.
Participants engaged in cross-island knowledge-sharing sessions, toured agrivoltaic systems and wind farms, and heard from a range of speakers including electrical utility experts, environmental activists, economists, renewable energy developers, urban and regional planners, policy advisors, engineers, and green finance specialists. The CYEN delegation actively contributed to discussions on issues affecting small island developing states, highlighting the urgency of sustainability planning. National Coordinator for CYEN, Joanne Husbands, outlined the key activities being implemented at the national level.
The Caribbean Youth Environment Network St. Lucia chapter collaborated with the Commonwealth Games Association as part of the King's Battle Relay national activities to clean up the 4-door beach in Dennery, which its theme focused on clean oceans and essentially plastic-free oceans. We collected over 400 pounds of garbage, some of which could have been repurposed.
Ms. Husbands noted that plastics collected during local cleanup activities were sorted and delivered to plastic solutions to be repurposed. She emphasized that the volume of waste collected indicates a growing environmental crisis and called for stronger efforts to protect the island's ecosystems for future generations.
And in international news, UNESCO's World Heritage Committee has started the process of selecting new sites to add to its prestigious list. Over several days, 32 member countries are proposing sites and monuments they hope will earn the coveted label. We turn to Al Jazeera.
The mystery of Karnak's ancient standing stones has intrigued people for centuries. No one knows why 3,000 menhirs were aligned along France's Brittany coast nearly 7,000 years ago. Now the Neolithic site could be granted UNESCO World Heritage status. This archaeologist says it's unique.
Nowhere else in the world there's a site as huge as that.
And do we know anything about why these stones are here?
Oh, we don't know everything. It's part kind of a mystery, which is part of the charm of the site. The goal was to maybe separate the sea land, which is this site, and the inner land, which is this site.
World Heritage status could help fundraising to protect the site and boost tourism, says the mayor of Karnak.
It's our culture, and it's, as you can see around, it's just amazing. It's 3,000 years before the first Egyptian pyramid, so this is a special place on Earth.
As well as Karnak, 9,000 stones elsewhere in the region are included in the candidacy. This is a place where history, culture and the unknown collide. It's exactly the sort of site that UNESCO looks for, but getting on the World Heritage List is not easy. The decision is made by a committee at UNESCO headquarters. It's highly competitive.
What I'm looking for is to ensure that there is the universal value.
And that's it for regional and international news.
It's a good point to find out what the sports department has on standby for later with Jordan. Hi.
Well, Caroline, I can tell you that the lights at Sabina Park are ready for the first ever day-night test match at the venue between West Indies and Australia. But what's concerning is what the West Indies captain had to say on the eve of the match about those lights. You want to stay tuned to hear that. Plus some exciting news from the Monaco Diamond League. Jamaica's athletes showing great form. Megan Tapper continuing her dream season so far. So too Jordan Scott. I'll tell you all about that in sports.
All right, that and more coming up in sports, but we'll continue with the news right after this. So glad you stayed with us. It's time for the Business Report with Joel Croskill.
Lots to share with you in the Business Report today, as Jamaica's potential to become the logistics hub of the Americas displayed signs of exceeding terminal velocity, with a project set to catapult the significance of the port into a new league of global consequence. With the official groundbreaking ceremony for the Westlands Expansion Project, an enhancement of the terminal's infrastructure to increase cargo handling capacity and improve operational efficiency at the Kingston Container Terminal, reinforcing Jamaica's position as a leading transshipment hub in the Caribbean and Central America. CEO of Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited, KFTL, Captain Yezhrev Mirzhevsky, navigated the story of its rise.
You will shortly take a tour. You will see that every place is taken. But to visualize the scale of a number of containers we have here, if we will place those containers on a highway from Kingston to Montego Bay, one by one, it will take up to the Montego Bay, back, and still about 30 kilometers left. And today, we celebrate the next bold step in the journey, the West Expansion Project. The project represents an investment of $80 million US. It will add at last 600,000 TU on the capacity. It's a major step forward. Construction begins now. Once complete, Westland will position Jamaica in one of the biggest hubs in the area. So let me give you some sense of the scale of work ahead of us. We will transport and place over 730 cubic meters of soil. Nobody can imagine, but I will try to help you. If you fill up with this soil the National Stadium of Jamaica in Kingston, still some will left. Up to the top, and it's still some of them will be left behind. So that's the scale of the work which we do.
The Westlands expansion project marks a significant and timely leap forward in the modernization and development of the Kingston Container Terminal, especially considering evolving global shipping patterns and the expansion of the Panama Canal. The terminal is operated by Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited, a subsidiary of CMA CGM, the world's fourth largest shipping line. Emmanuel de la Chambre, VP CMA Terminals Holding, spoke to the performance of partnership and its growing significance.
We are there because we do believe strongly in Jamaica as a partner to serve your economy, to develop your jobs. And for that, we have decided to operate in Kingston. Kingston is our second terminal worldwide, second one, just after Malta. And not so far, I can tell you. 2,000, 3,000 moves difference between Malta and you, but you are the second one. It's our job to become number one. This investment is done for Jamaica, is done for the shipping industry, is done to develop a really stable and growing market, which is Jamaica and Caribbean Sea. In a really disruptive world we are living in, and I will not develop, you have to open the TV and listen to the news. Here, it's a stable area, and business likes stability. As long as we have stability, we will develop with pleasure and commitment because we do business. And the common thing we have all together is to do business in good faith. That's important.
Professor Gordon Shirley, President and CEO of the Port Authority of Jamaica, spoke to the advances in efficiency that have been made as a result of the investments, now approaching $500 million.
Kingston has emerged as the fastest growing terminal regionally, and in 2023 was included in the Lloyd's list top 10 fastest growing ports in the world. Cargo movement has grown from 859,000 in 2016 to 1.4 billion moves in 2024, an increase of over 58%. Berth productivity now stands at 25 moves per hour, and crane productivity exceeds 80 berth moves per hour, meeting and exceeding the global benchmarks. The arrangement to be signed today between KFTL and PAJ will allow for an expansion of the terminal's storage area by over 25%.
Which, according to keynote speaker Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, is not a matter of chance.
When I first assumed office as Prime Minister in 2016, I established a clear vision for the Port Authority of Jamaica to transform Kingston into the fastest growing transshipment hub in the Caribbean and the Americas. This vision was not just a vision. We developed a clearly structured strategy to realize the vision. And the first step was to modernize and optimize what we already had. In 2016, we executed the landmark concession agreement with Kingston Freeport Terminals Limited, triggering over US $400 million in investments in terminal infrastructure, including cranes, straddle carriers, and high-tech operating systems. Another $50 million is being invested this year in additional equipment to enhance operational throughput. The investments have gone beyond infrastructure and equipment. The KFTL has implemented an advanced terminal operating system, integrated geopositioning and geofencing capabilities, and overall, its security architecture. These investments have paid off. The KFTL's cargo volumes have grown by 58% since 2016. These are undeniable results. Jamaica is now a serious player in global shipping. Today's event signals our readiness to execute. It affirms to our local stakeholders and international partners that we are serious, that we are organized, and that we are ready to grow.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
Stay with us. Sports in full. Coming up next with Jordan Fort.
Welcome to sports. I am Jordan Fort. Let's bowl off with some cricket news. West Indies captain Roston Chase has expressed concern over the height of the lights at Sabina Park on the eve of the first ever day-night test to be played at the venue starting tomorrow. Stakeholders had to work day and night before finally getting the new lights installed and ready at the 11th hour for the third test. But the height of the lights could cause a problem for fielders, according to Chase. Chase also said that the West Indies' final 11 for the match has not yet been decided. In the meantime, Australian fast bowler Mitchell Starc will be experiencing a bit of history of his own as he'll be playing in his 100th test match.
Yeah, they're bright, but I think they're a bit low for my liking. They seem a bit low, but it's what we have to work with, so we can't really come and complain about it or whatever. What is put in front of us, we have to deal with. Judging from past experience on different grounds with low lighting, it's a bit harder to pick up the drop zone of the ball, but I mean, we did a bit of feeling yesterday, and the guys look okay. No one really complained, but it's just my personal opinion. I think that the lights look a bit low. Well, obviously, the top order is a bit of a concern. Obviously, not getting those good starts that we've been looking for, and then obviously with the spinner, the extra seamer going out and probably spinner coming back in. Yeah, I guess that's what we are discussing. Not really more so the pink ball, but more so the conditions regarding the wicket. In a test match it's different, but the guys are accustomed playing with the pink ball. We have some first-class games with the pink ball, so the guys have had a bit of experience playing with the pink ball. But as I said, the test match is something different pressure, different style of play. But yeah, the guys are comfortable with it.
No, a chance to win another test match away from home, which is never easy to do. We've obviously had a good couple of weeks, and I guess it makes me feel old being 99 games under the belt. But yeah, it's another great place to play. I mean, the last tour here, we finished here in 2015 and then went on to the Ashes. So for a few of us, good memories from that one 10 years ago, and hopefully another good week.
Now, the match bowls off at 1:30 p.m. The Aussies have already retained the Sir Frank Worrell Trophy as they lead the three-test series 2-0. Now, it was another enthralling day's play in the third test between England and India at Lord's today. The Indians closed the day 2-1, 145 for 3, replying to England's 387, with Joe Root scoring his 8th test century at the venue and his 34th overall to join Jasprit Bumrah, who took 5 for 74 on the honours boards at Lord's. Now, another milestone was reached when Root took his 211th catch to dismiss Karun Nair for 40. In doing so, he surpassed the previous record of 210 held by former Indian skipper Rahul Dravid. Former West Indies under-19 player Barbadian Jofra Archer took a wicket with his third delivery of his comeback after 4 years away with a career-threatening injury. He had Yashasvi Jaiswal caught in the slips by Harry Brook for 13. Scores again: England 387 and India 145 for 3. India still need 243 runs to overhaul England's total when play resumes on day 3 tomorrow. The series is tied at 1-1. All right, we're just getting started. Stay with us for more sports right after this break.